The Forbes 400 is a list of the 400 richest people in America. This is the 40th annual list. Forbes started it in 1982. The richest person back in 1982 when we did the list was worth $2 billion. So this year, the Forbes 400 members altogether are worth a whopping $4.5 trillion. That's up from $3.2 trillion a year ago. It's a really huge number. It's hard to even imagine what $1 trillion is, but the stock market increases in companies like Amazon and Facebook and Google, Alphabet have just pushed particularly the very richest of the rich up to stratospheric levels. So Jeff Bezos is the number one richest at $201 billion. It's the first time we've had somebody worth more than $200 billion on the Forbes 400. Behind him at number two is Elon Musk, whose net worth has just rocketed in the past year because of the growth in the value of Tesla stock. And then at number three is Mark Zuckerberg. This is the first year since the early 1990s that Bill Gates has not been in number one or number two spot. So Bill Gates is at number four below Zuckerberg. Bill Gates' fortune has shrunk a little bit because of the divorce he got divorced this year, and he transferred a little bit less than $6 billion worth of his stock to Melinda, French Gates, his ex-wife. So that's probably knocked him down a little bit in the rankings. It's possible that Bill Gates has transferred even more of his assets to Melinda. They're not talking. They have a secret separation agreement. We know about this transfer of assets because there have been public filings of stocks that Bill Gates has owned a bunch of. But it could be that he could be transferring other assets where there's no public records available, and they're not talking. So hopefully we find out more about that in the future. But Melinda is new to the list because of the divorce. She's worth about $6 billion. The Google founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, follow right behind Bill Gates, and then Larry Ellison, and then Warren Buffett. New in the top 20 for the first time are Steven Schwartzman, the co-founder of Blackstone, whose shares have nearly doubled in the past year, and then also Len Blavatnik, who's a Soviet-born entrepreneur who's a big investor in Warner Music, and also chemicals company LyondellBasell and many other assets. This year we saw a lot of new people on the list. We've had 44 newcomers, which is pretty amazing because to get onto the Forbes 400 list, it took a fortune of $2.9 billion, which is the highest cutoff we've ever had. And it's $800 million more than a year ago. So for the past few years, it's taken $2.1 billion to get on the list. And so when you get to number 400, that person is at $2.9 billion. So it's kind of crazy. So that means a lot of people who dropped off didn't necessarily get poorer, but they just got passed by folks whose stocks are going crazy. Some of the newcomers are in growing fields like cryptocurrency. And one of the most prominent newcomers is a 29-year-old Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried is based in Hong Kong and has started cryptocurrency exchange and also a crypto company. And he's signing up high-profile athletes, Tom Brady and Steph Curry and the like, to be spokespeople for his company, for FTX. He wants to get as rich as possible so that he can give it all away. But he hasn't started giving away very much yet, so we'll see where it goes. But we have a super interesting story about him on the cover of the magazine. We have electric vehicle billionaire RJ Scarange. His company is Rivian, which has gotten a large order of vehicles from Amazon. He's worth $3.4 billion. The company's still private, although it has filed to go public, and so it will go public in the future. The most prominent drop-offs for this year's Forbes 400 are Donald Trump and Oprah Winfrey. Basically, neither of them got a whole lot poorer. In fact, they're either flat or higher than they were a year ago. But it's just that everyone else got so much richer and kind of passed them by. A couple other interesting drop-offs. Jim Koch behind Sam Adams Beer Boston Brewery, they had made a big bet on their seltzer, I should say hard seltzer, that's called Truly, which sales of which kind of plummeted this year, and the stock's down about 50%. So the interesting thing about this year's, of the Forbes 400, most people's net worth is up. There are only a few people's net worth dropped. And then even of the drop-offs, many people are flat. There are not that many people who fell. I mean, the main thing is just the shocking increase in how rich the richest Americans have gotten, and the fact that so many are worth more than a year ago. And then we also looked at philanthropy. So we have, for each member of the list, we have a philanthropy score. And the score is based on how much of their net worth they have given away. And it's not how much they've given to their own private foundations, but how much, like if they have, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or somebody has a foundation in their own name, how much is that foundation given? So we're looking at out the door giving, how much is gotten into the hands of nonprofit organizations who are using the money as opposed to sitting in a foundation. Of course, as your net worth increases, people's giving is not increasing at the rate that their net worth is increasing, is sort of what that says. We don't have scores for all of the people on the list. There's some people for whom we don't know anything about their philanthropic giving, and they don't want to tell us. And so it could be that they're not doing any, or that they're doing it anonymously. We don't know. But it's possible to be an anonymous donor. We don't know. At a time where we're still, like, the global pandemic is not over. The Delta variant certainly made things worse across the country in a lot of states. And so it's a little bit of a disconnect for us to see, news about people dying of COVID, people being hospitalized with COVID, hospitals being overwhelmed with COVID patients. And yet you look at the stock market, and that's sort of not reflected in that at all, that these people are getting richer than ever. And some of them are, hiding out on their yachts off of the coast of Fiji, and, being able to separate themselves from the masses because they can afford to do so. Stock's up, everybody's net worth is up. So the question is, will the stock market stay where it is? And if it does, or if it keeps rising, we'll see more billionaires. We certainly have seen a lot of IPOs of companies that have minted new billionaires, even just in the past month. So we could see more of that going forward. But I think it's really the key for the future of billionaires' wealth, and the number of billionaires is tied to the performance of the stock market.